Welcome back to Wisdom with the Wise Counselor. I am the Wise Counselor, also known by my birth name. It's simply Lateef. This podcast is all about building your emotional resiliency, thinking about wellness, mental health, and reclaiming your authority, learning how to live your life on purpose and in purpose 24/7, 365. Today's episode, it's not one for the light ones. Come on now. This one ain't for the little girls and the little boys. This is for the men and the women. This one might hit a little differently. It might ask something of you. It might nudge you beyond your comfort and your comfort zone. And that's okay, right? Because growth always starts with discomfort. Let's talk about showing up. Let's talk about doing more. Let's talk about faith in action. There was a woman, let me start off by saying this. I want to send my condolences, my thoughts, my prayers to all of the people who are currently dealing with the flooding in Texas. And that actually is what the inspiration for this episode, where it came from, because there was a woman that I saw on the local news who was called to do something more than simply pray for all the victims and the families and all of the devastation hitting Texas right now. And she was at Matthew 25 in Cincinnati. And if you don't know, Matthew 25 Ministries is a global disaster relief organization. They ship supplies and send out emergency response teams and provide critical aid during disasters, And she heard about the floods in Central Texas on the news story, and as we all have, and she didn't know anybody who was affected personally. She hadn't seen the devastation close up and hadn't recently been to Texas, but something in her spirit whispered, "You can do more." And so she did. She didn't just say, "I'm praying for them," and this is part of her testimony. This is what was on the news story. She didn't just say, "Oh, that's so sad. My thoughts are with them." She got online and she found out what was needed, and she saw that water, simple bottled water, was one of the top items on the donation list that they needed. Matthew 25, because they're going down and they've already sent a emergency response crew down, several of them. And at that moment, she had said that she realized she had 2 full cases of water just sitting in her basement for a rainy day that hadn't expired. And so she grabbed them. She loaded her car and she said she drove to the donation center. And the news anchor was asking, why was she donating? Did she have any type of connection to Texas? And she said no. She just knew that she needed to answer the call of, "You can do more." It was simple, right? But it was profoundly powerful. Family, I need you to hear me on this one, because this right here is where the message depthens, okay? We live in a world where it's easy to feel good about doing good, right? We repost a crisis. We say, "I'll keep you in my prayer." I mean, I kicked off the episode saying that, right? We might donate $5 and call it a day. And I'm not here to minimize any of that, truly. I'm not here to do that. But I do believe in the power of prayer, right? And I've seen it change things. But let me say this. Faith alone doesn't fill stomachs. Not in 2025 when there is an imminent, immediate need. Have I seen Jesus make water into wine and feed thousands, right? I've heard of those stories, and I believe that in my heart of hearts. And that is a fundamental thing that I believe in my spirit and in my spiritual journey, that God is a God of all things and he's a God of the impossible. But let me say this, prayer alone right now is not going to rebuild homes, right? Intentions alone don't hand somebody a bottle of clean water, right? There has to be something there to make the miracle happen. There comes a time when we all are called to move from thoughts to action, when belief must turn into behavior. And the question becomes, what are you going to do for people when it doesn't benefit you? And who are you showing up for, even if it's inconvenient? Those are two very powerful questions that I think you need to ask yourself, that I have to ask myself, and it doesn't matter where you are in your journey, spiritually, physically, emotionally, career-wise, with your family, with your own personal development or your self-awareness. Those are two critical questions that have to guide how you show up in this world. What are you doing for people when it doesn't benefit you? And who are you showing up for, even if it's inconvenient? We've got to get comfortable showing up in ways that don't always feel comfortable. We've gotten comfortable showing up in ways that don't challenge us, ways that don't stretch us. And if we're going to be honest, ways that don't cost us anything. But service, real service, I'm talking about real service, I ask you to, it makes you feel it, right? Service requires you to lean into true sacrifice, even if it's just a little bit, it's a true sacrifice. That's why one of my big pet peeves is when I hear about these big corporations having days of service where they're going to pack aid boxes or pack lunches for kids that are going to be shipped to, food desert cities or whatever the case may be, or they're sorting through donations or even when big corporations go to like Matthew 25 and they have these big corporate days where everybody in the company is volunteering. And I'm here to tell you that's a crock of crap. That's not service. Why? Because it's not sacrifice. Why? Because they're doing that on the clock. You're doing that on the clock. You would be at work if you weren't there packing that stuff because it's during the work day. So I really need us to really get grounded in what real service means. Even the world has whispered lies to us about what it means to be really service oriented. Just because you show up and break a sweat don't mean that it's real service. It doesn't. It's the conditions of why you're there, what the outcome is, and really the posture of your heart. Not because your boss told you to be there because you could flex this day for another day off. Come on now. So let me be clear. We're not all called to empty our bank accounts and to hop on the next flight to do some type of life-changing rescue for the world. That's not what this is all about. That's not what service is all about, right? But sometimes doing more means dropping off those unused canned goods that are in your cabinet. It means buying one extra pack of diapers the next time that you're at the store and taking it to a women's shelter just on a whim and randomly, right? It could mean volunteering an hour of your own time, not work time, at a crisis center or making a call to check in with somebody who's grieving, even if it disrupts your day, right? And sometimes doing more looks like talking less and walking more. Yes, you might break a sweat, but I need you to look around your life. Where are you playing it safe? Where are you playing it safe? Where have you convinced yourself that you're doing enough because you prayed, but you never lifted a hand? And I'm not here, again, to call out anybody in their faith walk and in their journey and in their spirituality or in their religion. Prayer is absolutely powerful. It absolutely is. But when prayer is paired with movement, that's when miracles really start to manifest. Did you hear me? When your prayer is paired with movement, that is when miracles really start to manifest. So here's the part of the podcast that I like to call The Wise Counselor Unfiltered. It's real, it's raw, it's unapologetic. It's my top 3 things I want you to hear from this podcast, okay? So number 1, Stop waiting to be personally affected before you get involved. You figure out what get involved is. Maybe that's stop waiting to get involved at your church or at the neighborhood, Boys and Girls Club, or at the local market that collects food for women who are struggling or single moms, whatever the case may be. If tragedy has come to knock on your door before you care, then you've missed the point of humanity. Did you hear that? Stop waiting to be personally affected before you get involved. Because if tragedy has to knock on your door before you actually care, before your mind is open to what's going on, before you grow in your empathy, then you have missed the point of humanity. Number 2, your comfort can be your cage, right? If everything that you're doing is convenient, if it's predictable, if it's easy, and it doesn't disrupt anything in your lifestyle, is it really service? If everything that you're doing is convenient and easy, and it's not putting you out, it's not requiring you to make any level of sacrifice, then is it really service? Or is it just to maintain an image? And if you're in a position where your comfort has become your cage, I need you to really pause and think about that. And who is that impacting within your immediate circle and even larger scale, your community, right? How is this affecting the people, places, and things that you're concerned about? Because availability means you've got to show up in some way. And sometimes that means you're going to be uncomfortable. So is your comfort your cage? And if it is, what are you going to do to break out of that? And my last kind of power thought here is love moves, compassion moves, and empathy moves, right? Real love takes shape in action. And if you're not moving for anybody but yourself, it's time to really check your heart and your heart's posture and to do a really thorough check of your heart, your mind, your intentions, and your positioning in this space called the world. Because I'm here to remind you, as a human being, we are here as a people to help lift each other up. If you're only concerned about your advancement and your notoriety and your next move, then you have missed the mark. As I said in the first takeaway, you've missed the point of humanity, right? We are here to be of service to other people. That grows us in our leadership. That grows us in our lens of humanity. It grows our empathy. It strengthens our heart, and it gives us eyes to want to do more for others. Remember, love moves, compassion moves, and empathy moves. So here's some post-podcast homework I want you to really do post-podcast. That means after the podcast. I want you to sit and think about these 3 things. Number 1, where in your life have you been giving the bare minimum? I need you to be honest. I really want you to be honest. And who or what deserves more from you? Number 2, what's one small action you can take this week to serve someone else with no strings attached? Keep it simple. Think local, keep it real, and keep it simple, right? And number 3, when you say, I'll pray for them, what would it look like to also ask, what else can I do? You fill in the situation with XYZ. You make this message applicable to you, your resources, the people that you know, the community that you're surrounded with, and the issues that you know exist within your micro, macro system, right? That's your responsibility this week. What else can you do to help people outside of saying, I'm going to pray for them? Well, family, that's what I have for today. I hope our conversations don't just go in one ear and out the other. I really want you to reflect on this episode, as I want you to on every episode, truthfully, child. But this episode, I'm really giving you a call to action, and that simply is to act. Because when you do more, you become more. We're talking about empathy here. We're talking about humanity. How do we grow ourselves, feel better about our hearts and what we give to the world, and grow in our empathy? It's by helping other people. right? It's a win-win. And there is no time like the present moment to reclaim yourself by thinking about how you can strengthen, empower, and impact other people. And then you take that empowerment that you have and know that that's your capacity to make a difference. And again, it's a win-win. So I need you to take care of you. I need you to dive into how you're going to walk in your purpose. And remember, purpose has to be rooted in people. You know, if you're thinking about how you're going to reach the summit of yourself and it doesn't involve helping somebody, helping them grow or get smarter or wiser or change their life, then baby, I guarantee it's not purpose. Purpose has to involve helping other people in some way. So I want to also remind you that great things do not happen overnight. You've got to take your time and ease into you and be intentional about pausing. Right? We're halfway through the year almost. Well, no, we're more than halfway through the year. And I just want you to pause and think about where you're at. And at the end of the day, I need you to remember this, that you are the only one who is in control of your thoughts, your actions, and your reactions to what life throws your way. So the question today is, how are you going to respond to the information that you have heard in this podcast today? As always, family, know that I absolutely love you. I really do. And I thank you for joining me on Wisdom with the Wise Counselor. Know this also, I believe in you. And I have absolutely no doubt that whatever you're facing today, tomorrow, this week, next month, next year, that you absolutely got this. Be well.